What up? It is the most intense and the best conditioned athlete in the sport of professional wrestling. I am here today. It is the Playbook Podcast Live, baby. I am your host, the Playbook Pat Rogers. We are absolutely loaded today. We are going to be talking a lot of football. We are primarily football all throughout the day today. And before we get into that, I'd love to talk to you guys a little bit about kind of what this show is going to be and kind of the direction that we're headed. Look, the bottom line is, as you guys know, I'm the Playbook Pat Rogers. I'm a professional wrestler in the kind of the Northeastern independent wrestling scene. My ultimate goal is to get to the WWE one day. And I also love sports, and particularly football, right? Football is one of my favorite sports. It's really I shouldn't say it's one of my favorite sports. It is my favorite sport. It's really it's one of the sports I probably follow the most. It's probably really the only sport I truly follow. I watch I follow the Phillies. I watch them when I get off tonight, but truly football is something I get deep in the weeds about, right? I was fortunate enough to coach very briefly at the Division III level, it was a great experience for me, and I learned a lot. So again, I have a lot of passion for football. I also have a lot of passion for professional wrestling, and I hope to bring those two things together and bring them here for you on this show. All right, you saw Seth Rollins did Rich Eisen, and you see Pat McAfee kind of does what he does week in and week out, and I kind of want to bring something similar. Obviously, make it my own, right? Don't want to copy certainly what Pat McAfee has done, but want to kind of do my own thing, as it were, if you will, right? Do my own thing, be my own person. So we'll check that out as we get to it. Okay, so look, we've got a lot to get to today on the program, but I think first things first, as you know, look, this is a professional wrestling program, right? And pull this up here, obviously. Okay, oh, sorry. Pull this up here, as you can see. Right there. All right, pulling it up there, as you can see. Obviously, earlier this week, it was reported, I don't know exactly which day, I believe it was Wednesday, it was reported. Hulk Hogan passed away. I believe he was 71. And he had a massive heart attack, and obviously very sad, right? Incredibly sad. Unfortunate. And I think, at the end of the day, look, at the end of the day, Terry Bollea had a complicated legacy. Okay, the man, that is, right? And complicated is being generous. Okay, there's a lot you can say about the man Terry Bollea, and I'm not going to say it because that's really not my place. Okay, I am not God, certainly, so I'm not going to sit here and make a value judgment on the man. It's not my place to do that, right? You can feel how you want to feel. Fact of the matter is this: the guy changed the business of professional wrestling twice. Okay, right? In '84, right, when he starts his run with McMahon in the WWF, and where that took that company, okay, right, took professional wrestling from being in the beer halls and kind of being something that your drunk uncle was into to making it mainstream. Okay, there is no WrestleMania in selling out in New Orleans. There's no WrestleMania in Allegiant Field, Las Vegas, or Lincoln Financial Field without Hulk Hogan. Okay, there's no doubt about that. And then when he comes back in the mid '90s, right, mid to late '90s, certainly '90, I believe he comes to WCW '94, and again tries to recreate the same. I think it was '95. I'm getting the timelines wrong, but trying to do the same thing. And honestly, he would not have been wrong to keep doing the same thing because it's what worked. But like all smart performers, he saw the writing on the wall. He knew money when he saw it. And that was with the vision of Eric Bischoff and the NWO. To make him the third man with Hall and Nash, and to take WCW, which was a pinprick and nothing, a zero in professional wrestling, only important because Ted Turner had bought it and put it on his network, took them to heights that they couldn't have even imagined. It changed the business a second time. Okay? So, again, say what you want about the man. He's got a complicated legacy, and again, I know that's saying it very, that's being respectful, right? Okay? But But you cannot deny his contributions to this business. If you are, in my opinion, you are being naive. Okay, you are being willfully and knowingly ignorant of history and fact. So that is what I have to say. That's what I have to say. That's what I got to say about that. What you gonna do when the Playbook talks about the Hulkster on you? What you gonna do when Playbook Podcast Live runs wild on you? Okay, we are racked and stacked. We have so much to get to today. I am fired up. Again, we are football heavy on this program. Let me find my mouse here, and we will go really right into kind of our first big football topic, and that is going to be the contract extensions that have really been dominating they've really been dominating the talk of the offseason. Of course, what a great segue, right? You can see Micah Parsons there on the Undertaker podcast, and we can take a look here, see what he's got to say. All right, so there you go. The Undertaker carrying the league. You see the Undertaker kind of carrying the water there for Micah Parsons. But again, it's kind of what he's supposed to do. He's not going to sit there and be adversarial. But I think they touched on a couple things there. But, once again, the ego and the hubris of Jerry Jones continues to be the primary obstacle and the most rigid impediment to the Cowboys' success in any way, shape, or form. Okay, this should tell you. Okay, that whole clip should tell you when he said management is making this thing more difficult. Management is stringing this thing out. It should tell you all you need to know about how the Jones family operates and what their psyche is. Right? Okay. And look, don't get me wrong. They did this to Emmitt Smith in the 90s. Not that I was there, but you do your research. Okay? They think the Jones family lives with this imperial hubris. They live in this bubble that playing for the Dallas Cowboys is a gift and you should be lucky that you're there and this, that, and we're going to pay you. No. Being part of the Dallas Cowboys hasn't been cool since the 90s because they haven't done anything since the 90s. And the one guy that's going to help you do something, actually be truly relevant, not relevant as the media creation you've been for years, over 20 years now, is Micah Parsons. Because the game of football is played, Jerry. I know, you own a football team, won a national title back in 1960 with, Jimmy Johnson, and then you hired Jimmy Johnson, all this stuff. You know a lot more ball than I do. But last time I checked, winning in the National Football League requires having a quarterback, obviously, which you seem to think you have in Dak Prescott. I would disagree. Story for another day or time. We'll talk about that later. Fact of the matter is that you need a guy like Micah Parsons. You need a dominant pass rusher, someone that is going to get up the field and get after the quarterback. Now, people will say, well, hey, Playbook, there was a bit of a drop-off out of the Dan Quinn system. You are right. But who else are they going to get? There's no better alternative. He is a key for them. He needs to be there for them to be successful. If they don't have him on defense, they lose. He is almost a player and a half, if not two, if they lose him on defense. That is how valuable he is to that team. And again, this is a theme that will come up, is the fact that ownership groups who are led, and when I say ownership groups, meaning, look, all NFL teams are owned, okay, and led in some form or fashion because the owner is a leader by virtue of owning the team. They're all led by some old white guy, right? And old white dudes, okay, are really stubborn, okay? Look at our politicians, right? They're really stubborn. They love power, and they don't want to give it up, and they want to exercise it any which way they can. And that's what Jerry Jones, and that's again, this will come up later, but Jerry Jones, again, lives in this world where everyone should be lucky to play for the Dallas Cowboys. Wake up and realize, smell the coffee, realize that the fact that your hubris and the delays and not getting this thing done and allowing not only the Watt deal to get done, the TJ Watt deal, but the Max Crosby deal to get done, you allowed those two things to get done. You sat on your hands, and now you're really going to pay the price for it, I think. So we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. It's going to be interesting. I think this is this is classic NFL negotiation tactic. Okay, let's litigate this through the media. Okay, let's litigate this through media and fines, right? And then at some point, the player, if they're really that serious, we'll get to this with Trey Hendrickson. At some point, if the player is serious, the player's going to lose enough money where they have to come back and play, or else you'll be like Hassan Reddick. Be that as it may. Okay, we just talked about it, right? We talked about it. It's the Trey Hendrickson contract situation. Okay, that's a mess. No doubt about it. That is a mess. Okay, a huge mess, right? Okay, he said he was willing to take less. Willing to take less. Scroll down here. Willing to take less, and as we'll get to. So again, look, the primary issue in the stalled negotiations, according to Adam Schefter, right? Schefter reported this. He said Cincinnati has only offered 1 year of guaranteed money. Okay, 1 year of guaranteed money, which is obviously much more than who? Or excuse me, which is much less than, I'm sorry. Which is just 1 year. Okay. 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 Yeah. Again, Cincinnati isn't giving him what he wants because he wants the bottom line. And I'm sorry for that mix up there. The bottom line is this guy wants to be paid on the same level as TJ Watt. He wants to be paid on the same level as Max Crosby because he views himself that way because he's that important to the team. That's how important he is. Okay. But again, you're not like that, dude. No one and that's where I think this shifts, right? Micah Parsons, I think there's probably in some galaxy, there could be a legitimate argument where you say Micah Parsons, TJ Watt, Max Crosby in some form or fashion, in some type of stat score, some type of statistics cocktail you cook up, right, over a couple bowls, you can make the argument that maybe Micah Parsons sits somewhere in that same ballpark or that same section of the ballpark as TJ Watt and Max Crosby. Maybe. But no one's saying that about, I mean, maybe they are. I'm not. When you look at the fact that the Bengals drafted a guy. They drafted a defensive player in the first round. That should tell you all you need to know. The Steelers have not drafted a player at the position of TJ Watts in the first round. Now, fact check me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember that. I feel like that'd be big news. Okay. So, look, it's been kicked the can down the road. No different than the Micah Parsons situation. It's been a whole kick the can down the road thing. Okay. Bengals don't want to pay this dude because they've paid too many people already. There's too many mouths to feed. Okay, you've given Burrow the coin, obviously. You've given it to Higgins. You've given it to Jamar Chase. And now it's going to get contentious. Okay, because now it becomes about a power thing, right? They're entrenched. Okay, and like we talked about, old white men are stubborn. They don't like to give up power. They're entrenched. They know how to be entrenched, right? So again, look, Jordan Schultz, NFL Insider said, look, he said the discussions between team and player have been very contentious. But Mike Brown says they think they'll get it done. Again, classic tactic, right? Litigating through media, right? So again, the more the thing gets kicked down the road, the more it's going to become a problem, right? And you have the Shamar Stewart thing, which is compounding, which is interesting. That's weird. I don't understand that quite so much. But again, these guys want to be paid like the top dogs, and that's why. That's why as a team you got to get out and pay these dudes when you can't wait, right? Again, who am I to sit here? I don't know a damn thing about how to run. I don't. Okay, I don't. I'm not a GM. I'm not an owner. Not a team president. I don't know. I'm just a dude sitting in his bedroom, squawking and squealing about football. All right, but I'd like to think when you have these type of agreements, right? I would like to think. Let me back up. I'd like to think that these teams have some awareness of the market trends at certain positions. I'd like to think the Bengals knew that I'd like to think they knew that the market was going to trend in a way that was not that where they were going to have to pay this guy. Now, I also think it's a situation where the Bengals, being a team that is notoriously poor as it relates to NFL teams, don't like to pay people being players, right? They're notorious for that. Okay? So you could just chalk this up to, hey, maybe they may not have the coin to pay. So you never know. But the bottom line is the kicking the can down the road, the furthering on, hey, oh yeah, we'll figure itself out. Right. Well, it better, because you're gonna need this guy come week one. Although I said you're gonna need this guy come week one, right? Because again, like we talked about, you need guys to get the quarterback. You already got the quarterback, and you got the guys that can catch the ball from the quarterback. You need somebody to go get the quarterback. Okay. I'm gonna take a quick break. We will be right back. We'll be talking some Barstool and Fox. Wow. We'll be talking Fox Sports Barstool deal. And then coming right back on the heels of that, we'll be getting into this insane Colin Cowherd, Arch Manning, Nick Saban foolishness. We're right back here. Stick to it live, the Playbook podcast live. Boom! We're back. Thank you so much for joining us here. All right, we'll get that out of the friggin' way. Okay. And out of the way there. All right, we are back again. Okay, so like I said before going to break, we're going to talk about this Barstool Sports, Fox Sports Big Noon Kickoff Marriage, and let's just play the clip here. This is Dave. Let me back up here. This is Dave Portnoy talking about the new deal. All right, there you go, Dave Portnoy, giving the kind of the X's and the O's, the balls and the strikes of the deal. Kind of give you some generalities. Look, they partner, and this is going to cause, and this is why I love this. Not only because it's going to be great content, not only because it's going to be new, dynamic, different, because there's going the Puritans in the college sports media landscape, these pencil pushing dweebs that have tried to kneecap Pat McAfee, that try and make this, that they're milk toast and don't live in the 2025 reality of things. They're going to hate this, and that's why it's great. That's why it wins, right? Okay, that's why you got to do it. Barstool Sports. Okay, backing up for a second, right? Pat McAfee and Barstool Sports know how to seamlessly integrate sports gambling content to make it palatable, digestible for the regular consumer. They know that better than these big fucking networks do. They know it way better than ESPN does. They know it better than Fox does. That's why Fox is bringing them in. Okay? So Fox gets it, right? And they want their Pat McAfee. Don't think that's not part of this equation. Fox Sports, Eric Shanks, the president of Fox Sports, who's the guy that makes these types of decisions. We're going to quote him here in a few minutes. He wants his Pat McAfee. That big new kickoff show is great. I as much as I do like Game Day, but I like the big new kick. I think they're both great. But the big new kickoff show is really good, and I think it could be elevated. It could elevate itself, give itself a higher profile and a different demographic, maybe steal, maybe take some of that 18 to 35, 18 to 50, 18 to 40 demo that Barstool is so strong in, right? But again, Barstool does that campus show, right? My dad and mom went to they were at a Big Ten game. I think it was a Wisconsin game, and it was one of the games that gambling show was at, their game day style gambling show. My dad, who's 50 something, has no care, he kind of knows cursorily what Barstool is. He thought it was great. Watching Brandon Walker get the crowd riled up. You don't think Fox Sports wants some of that programming? I would say they do. And I think it's smart of them to want. Okay? It's smart of them to want, right? And again, right, they know too, right? After an FS1 morning show, nobody wants to watch Craig Carton and Mark Schlereth shoot the breeze in the morning. It's not interesting. It's not funny. It's not energetic. Doesn't wake you up. No. Right? If you could get PMT, right? Pardon my take. No, again, I'm not going to sit here and act like I am not what they would call an award-winning listener. I just follow on social media. Okay? The part of my take, guys. But I think what they've been able to do in sports media, okay, is astounding. Right? And I think if you could take that kind of energy, that kind of vibe, you could have yourself kind of another version of Mike and Mike, which at a time was amazing. Okay? Was unbelievable. Different, fun, giving it energy, right? Giving it energy. Eric Shanks, we just mentioned him. He's the president of Fox. Executive. He's the CEO and executive producer of Fox Sports. That is his official title. He said, "quote We're excited to welcome Dave Portnoy and Barstool to the Fox Sports family. Dave has built a one-of-a-kind brand that connects with a new generation of fans, authentic, bold, and original. Their unique voice and loyal fan base makes them a natural fit for our evolving multi-platform content strategy." Boom. Right? They're different. They're dynamic. Right? Live sports, if you ask anybody who knows anything about sports, about television programming, will tell you that live TV, specifically live sports programming or live sports-based programming, is the future. And again, I'm coming up with this Barstool ball washer here, but I believe they have an understanding of this kind of content, how to deliver it better than just about anybody. Because again, I think in a lot of ways they've kind of invented it, right? They took the existing landscape within sports media and turn it upside down. And we're all better for it. Okay. So I'll take a quick aside here before we jump into this Colin Cowherd stuff. I guess Cowherd and Cowherd and Arch Manning and Cleveland Browns, this, that, third. Now, how about this Memphis kid? I mean, little palate cleanse here. We'll take a quick jump over here to the Instagram. Now, this is crazy. So again, if you're somebody that follows college football, you follow it closely. Certainly, like I do. This was reported by many different sources, but it was reported rather by many different sources. But again, this is where I came across it. So JPA football, again, great account. Hit it up, follow it. DMs have leaked showing former Memphis defensive back Taj Rael allegedly sending UTSA quarterback Owen McGowan their team's playbook before their game. Now, pause. You know where I'm going with this, right? Do you think that was his son? Yep, it was. That's fucking crazy. How about that? I guess that's not really that. Is that as mind blowing? Is that I've not seen that reported? Has that? Are we breaking something right here? I think like we just broke something right here, man. That's big. Is that? Is that something more? Let's throw a comment down here. No. Okay. We'll do that later. Might as well follow through. No, we'll do that later. Okay, whatever. That's crazy though. That's crazy. I don't think that's been reported. Former high school teammates. Take a look here through these comments, see if anybody's got it. No. Dude, nobody caught that? Oh, all right. We have to say something, right? Owen. Oh, shoot. Dyslexia. Let's go. He's supposed to. Scintillating. All right, you know, right? Just real. McCown is Josh McCown son. Now, as I'm posting that, does anybody know who Josh McCown is? Maybe I think that's why. Like, I feel like I don't know. I feel like it's a big deal. I feel like it's a big deal. Okay, so on that, so apparently, he sent Taj, whatever. So Taj sent. Apparently, he sent some screenshots of what the defensive signals and he said what the signals were. So again, he said, "Far okay." So look at this. He sends. So here he sends a picture. Now again, people who haven't seen a college football, practice plan or like a call sheet, right? So this is probably for what it looks like here. This is the signal chart from like maybe a practice, but still that's stuff that's going to be used in a game, right? They're obviously using it in practice because they're planning on using it in a game. Okay, as you can see. Well, you obviously can't really see it, but it's basically, I'm sure it says some type of, hey, here's the this is the call, this is the down and distance we're going to use it in, or we've used it in this practice, and then on the end, this is what the hand signal is, or something along those lines, right? There's going to be a lot of proprietary, there's going to be a lot of really important, like top secret information in that, obviously, right? And then here he goes. So he says, okay, there you go. There's all the signals. Okay, so far left is the coverages, obviously denoting, hey, on the far left side, that's where all the coverages are. And then this is kind of where it gets a little fucked up down there. Okay, so before we get to that, so he says, I'll send you a better list showing you the call. Okay, that's crazy. So basically he's got, I think he probably took one half. So basically he's got the one column that is the coverages, and then there's going to be probably one call that's the blitz if there is one, and then another section or a column that's going to be for the front. So, and then he says, but they run quarters and none of they safeties can cover. BT dubs, by the way. All right, looks like Taj didn't really pay attention in English class much for that grammar, but anyway. So, and this is where it kind of gets fucked up, right here, right where he starts getting into kind of hanging one of his teammates out to dry. He says, no reroutes on the slot, the field corner. I don't know how to spell field, brother. No reroutes on the slot. The field safety is the weakest link in the defense. Hamstring hurt, but he run out of eligibility. So when you play him, he number 0. That's messed up, man. That's real messed up. That's low. That's screwed up, right? Obviously, look, man. Clearly this dude didn't think much of the guy that was playing. Right now, again, it's also reported here that Taj had been dismissed from the team. Right, so who knows if Taj had been dismissed from the team for something else, or this was the reason. And we're just hearing about it now. But the fact of the matter is, it's screwed up. In fact, I would go as far as to say it's fucked up. I mean, really. Right. Again, to kind of, take it on. Not only are you betraying your team, okay, there's 100 of some guys, right, 90, 80 some guys in that locker room that every day are putting it on the line, that give their heart and soul to win on Saturday, and you're just going to dump all over it because you can't control your own emotions. But that's what young men do, man. I'm a young guy. I make dumb decisions. We're emotional people, right? But messed up. Really messed up. And again, I feel sorry for Tosh here because the fact of the matter is he's probably never going to play college football again after this, right? Certainly not at the Division I level, and you never know. Maybe that was the play. Some people, bro, are a lot smarter than you give them credit for. And I'm not saying this dude's an idiot. I'm not saying that at all. I guess what I really am meaning to say is we don't know the motive because we're not in his head. But could this be a way? Could this have been a way for him to kind of remove himself from college football because he'd had enough? Who knows? Certainly something to think about, obviously, but a messed up story. Messed up story, nonetheless. Okay. Before we get to our kind of our final segment here, I want to go through kind of some housekeeping notes. You can pull up here. I might need to get a fucking producer here. But all right, boom. Don't forget, please like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Leave us a comment, please. It's super helpful to us or to me because there's no us. I say us, but no us here. It's just me. But anyways, thank you so much. Please, guys, like, subscribe, do what you can. Help us out here. Help us out here. Right? I don't have to do this show from a public library one day. So, okay. Now, before we get to a nice little plug to end the show here. All right, hold on one second. I gotta send somebody something here. I apologize. This is not good radio at all. La 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 la. Okay. All right. I apologize about that, guys. So, April. Wow. Guys, you guys know I am the most intense and the best conditioned athlete in the sport of professional wrestling. And if you want to come out and check out and meet the Playbook, you can do that. Okay, I will be. Gosh. All right. Okay. Little clunky. All right. So, August 2nd. Okay, August 2nd, I will be in Mahoney City at the Mahoney City Fire Department area for Wild Ass Wrestling WTW. That next weekend, August 9th, I will be at Country Club Brewing for 5XW, for the 5XW show. X gonna give it to you. Teaming up with DTF Playbook in that one. Looking forward to that, absolutely. And you know what? Before, also, let's actually take a quick break. Be right back. All right, boom, we're back here, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so let's try this again. So, you want to come check out the Playbook. So first, all right, we got some merch here. This is the Playbook silicone wristband. As you can see, I'll turn it upside down. The most intense, the best conditioned silicone bracelet, baby. Get those $5, $5. Cash App, Venmo, let me know, hit me up, and we can arrange that. Also, we've got some cool koozies, as you can see. The Playbook, Pat Rogers, the most intense, the best conditioned athlete in the sport of professional wrestling. And as for, again, if you want to come meet the Playbook, you want to come see the Playbook wrestle, okay, August 2nd, WW Wild Ass Wrestling up in Mahoney City, at the Mahoney City Fire Department there, Fire Hall. We're going to be doing a fun fundraiser for that fire department. It's going to be awesome. They do a lot of great work up in the Coal Regions area, so looking to help support them. And then August 9th, 5X gonna give it to you. X gonna give it to you. 5XW, Country Club Brewing, south side of Bethlehem, baby. Playbook teaming up with DTF, making the DTF Playbook. It's going to be great. You want to come on out. Beers, wrestling, great food. Going to be a food truck there. All kinds of food trucks, barbecue, burgers. And at the end of the day, it's also a charity show. All the proceeds for the show are going to a local animal shelter. I believe it's a dog-centered charity. I'll get more information about that charity. Shove that on the top of my head. Okay. Okay, we have arrived, ladies and gentlemen, at the main event. The main event. And again, guys, I want to thank you so much for sticking around with me. Again, Playbook Podcast Live at Playbook Pat Rogers 75 on YouTube, at Playbook P Rog _ on Twitter, on Instagram. Please hit me up. Hit me up. It's gonna be yeah, we're gonna have some fun, man. Let's go. Let's get it going here, okay? So, all right. So, look, I nope. That stage. All right, perfect. There it is. Okay, so look, I am a huge fan of Colin Cowherd. Okay, I have been for a while. Always, I have been for a while. Okay, I've been a huge fan. He's the reason I'm doing this. Okay, I would not be doing this now, right, if it was not for Colin Cowherd. I think he's again somebody I look up to. I have a lot of respect for. Again, like I said, for a second time, he's the reason I'm doing this, right? But I think there's also sometimes he's got some of these crackpot theories, man, that are real wacky. All right, and again, he talks a lot. He's got a lot to do. He talks a lot, right? So he's got some, interesting kind of thoughts and feelings about the world. We're trying to find this clip here. All righty. So, all right. So here it is. This is going to be Colin Cowherd. And just listen to this kind of weird crackpot theory he's got, and then we'll address it. All right. Start over. Okay, there you go. And again, look, Colin Cowherd. Again, like I said, I'm a fan of the dude. I am a fan, but that is a whopper of a conspiracy theory right there. An absolute whopper. I mean, that I can only imagine that was cooked up over a couple, margaritas on the lake in Chicago where he's at. But look, bottom line is this: is the arch portion of it is pretty simple, right? Okay, when we talk about his stats, right, and look at this kid's stats. I mean, again, hadn't played a lot. There's not a lot of ball here, right? Okay, we're looking at his last couple game, or this is his stats from the year. Right? This is where he got in. Okay, look at this. This is versus games. Let's go see all. Ba, ba, ba. You'll see. All right. So again, this is the stats from last year. Okay, bottom to top, it has how it works. And look, not very impressive. Okay, but again, he was a freshman, right? So gets in there. He was a freshman, correct? Freshman, sophomore. Who knows? I should know that. But he was a freshman, right? Early in his bottom line is early in his career, right? Gets in there lights it up against Mississippi State. Great. That's what you're supposed to do. Right. Has a good outing there. 26 for 31, 325, 83% completion, 84, let's call it. 84% completion percentage, 2 touchdowns, and a long of 50. Right. Was sacked twice. Had an overall QBR of 79. Not bad. Not bad. But is that winning you a national title? Against Georgia, you put those numbers up against Georgia, hell yeah. That wins you a national title. Right? 26, 31, 325, 84% completion. But the problem is you're not doing that against Georgia. Right? And I think that's what's going to be really interesting about Arch. And look, as has said, the old ball coach said it. Steve Spurrier said it. Right? Steve Spurrier said it. Steve Spurrier said if Arch Manning was really that good, he would have played over Quinn Ewers. Now, Ewers had more experience. Give you that. Ewers had more experience. Ewers probably had the locker room. And as a coach, you can't really be making that kind of decision, right? Yeah, I get the kid's good, right? But we can't. You lose a locker room, right? When you just pluck out the guy who's earned his right to play at a high level or play in the high level games, or has earned his right to be a leader of the team because of how he's played in high level games, and put in the boy wonder because he's because he's a Manning. Right? You can't do that. So, look, the kid's got to play a full season before we can start anointing him the second coming. Okay? Got to play a full season. You got to see him in the moments of adversity, right? When they're playing at Jordan, I mean, let's take a look at their schedule here, right? I mean, this could get really interesting for them. Okay, let's take a look. Let's take a look at the Texas schedule here. So look, this is going to get interesting, right? You're going right into the belly of the beast. You start out with Ohio State, okay? That's going to be very interesting to see how he responds in that environment, right? You got Ohio State, okay? Where is that? You're going to Ohio State, right? It's going to be huge, right? Probably that's going to be the biggest game of his life. How is he going to deal? That's going to say a lot. Remember, Bo Nix, okay, when he was a freshman at Auburn, went out to Oregon on a Saturday night and got a huge win, okay? And then he was able to transfer then to Oregon, right, and do the things he did there, okay? Take a couple weeks, no, it's a couple weeks off, but you got San Jose State, right? That's going to be a big one. UTEP's good. I mean, I'm not saying UTEP's going to light you up. That could be a possible tricky one, right? Sam Houston should be down. And then we head into that SEC schedule, right? Texas, we got Florida, Oklahoma, Kentucky, Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, and then kind of I don't know. That'll be interesting to see. Georgia's going to be a big one though. All right, how does he step up and play in Georgia? But the fact of the matter is, I say all that to say that Arch Manning has yet to prove that he is a guy that can be a franchise quarterback in the NFL. He has yet to prove that he's a draftable player in the NFL. Hasn't played enough, right? So the fact that we're sitting here, whether it's a strategic leak by the Browns through Cowherd or Cowherd just bloviating because he needs to fill time because it's dead air or because it's a dead time in sports, Arch Manning needs to prove something. He needs to prove that he is a draftable player before we can start having those conversations. That's why, like I said, or like I was going to say, but got distracted, if this were some type of strategic leak by the Browns through Cowherd or Cowherd just making this up, it's asinine either way. Asinine either way. Remember to like, subscribe. Okay, so the second half of this is obviously there's the Nick Saban piece, right? Now look, the Nick Saban piece, I think, is interesting for a number of reasons. Okay. Look, number one, Nick Saban has not coached in the National Football League since 2004. Okay. That is over 20 years ago. All right. Over 20 years ago. Over 20 years ago was the last time this dude coached in the NFL. Now, let's get check back then. I'm sorry. 2006. Okay. So about 20 years ago. So 2006 was the last time Nick Saban coached in the National Football League. All right. The game has, think about how the game changes in the 6 months between the two seasons. Drastically. Right? It changes a lot. Rules change. Okay. Schemes change. But imagine now that extrapolated out across 2 decades of time. It's a long time. Okay. Right? No, none of the same players, obviously, that you were coaching or coached against still play. Some of those guys are coaches now, probably, definitely. Okay. Same schemes don't exist. The game is different. The salary cap, how you assemble a staff, how you orientate your staff, the responsibilities, right? The philosophies. The role of the head coach in the National Football League has changed so much that I don't think it is a role that could accommodate a guy like Nick Saban. Or rather, I don't think it is a role that is tenable for a guy like Nick Saban. Okay? And when you're not enmeshed, the NFL, and again, I'm not going to sit here now. I've never coached in the NFL, okay? But there are certain nuances about the NFL game, much like the college game, much like the high school game, okay? There are certain nuances and differences that if you separate and are away from them for long enough, you lose the muscle memory to be able to deal with them, right? If you haven't seen a certain coverage or a certain type of defense in 20 years, let me back that up. If you haven't seen a certain style of defense played a certain way with certain players in 20 years, you're not going to remember it. You're going to have a hard time. There's going to be a learning curve. Suffice it to say, as smart as Nick Saban is, and he's a smart guy, okay, there's going to be a massive learning curve, which I don't think he can overcome because the game has changed so drastically different, so drastically much, or so drastically different, okay? And I think really the bottom line is this when it comes to Saban and coaching in the NFL. The reason he will never coach in the NFL, okay, is the reason why he will never coach again. The reason why he will never coach again, right, is the same reason why he didn't want to coach in the NFL, right, or he won't coach in the NFL again, and that is his wife, Miss Terry. Saban liked coaching at the Dolphins. He liked the NFL, right? It was relatively easier than college because you don't have to deal with the recruiting, you don't have to deal with the boosters. It's all football, right? It's the highest level, okay? But his wife liked the college environment. And again, I am not married, okay? But there is something to happy wife, happy life. Okay? If your wife and family are fucking miserable, No matter how much you're loving your job, how well you're doing, it's going to be miserable. Miss Terry wants to be, she loved being the first lady of Baton Rouge. She loved being the first lady of Tuscaloosa, right? Because, hey, Miss Terry walks in the best restaurant in Tuscaloosa, they're going to find a seat for her pronto. Boom, like that. Right? And everybody's going to be falling over. Oh, my God. Like it's the Queen of England walked in. That's how important she is. Right? She has importance with her charities in the community in a place like Tuscaloosa. A place like Miami, no one gives a shit. Oh, you're the wife of the Dolphins coach? Cool. What's our record? Oh, are we playing this weekend? That kind of deal, right? Oh, you've got a charity golf tournament or a charity ball type deal for your fundraiser. Well, this movie star or this pop star who lives in Miami has got a similar thing, and that's more important. That matters. Okay. And that's why I think he will never go back. I don't think his wife will allow him to. Plus, he's made enough money. He's having a great time doing the game day thing. You can tell he actually enjoys it, right? He's not, when you would watch, like, he's not under that pressure cooker, right? He's like, oh, loose, right? And again, I'm sitting here, I'm talking like I'm around the guy all the time, but you talk to anybody who knows him, and they will tell you similar things to what I just said. So, all right, that is that. Thank you so much for joining us here, Playbook Pat Rogers. We'll be here next Friday, 7 o'clock for Playbook Podcast Live. Thank you.